Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. So I got a letter. I'm reaching out to promote Growing Tradition, our documentary about the creation of Tucson Botanical Gardens' inaugural LightsUp, a Festival of Illumination. We are hoping to have filmmaker Alan Scott Davis come on your show to talk about the film, now available on Prime Video. Growing Tradition is a story about how the Tucson community came together to support the gardens in creating a new holiday tradition. Alan is a two-time regional Emmy Award-winning documentarian and a 2024 40 Under 40 awardee from the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
That's me.
You just got it today.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, wow, no kidding.
that's why I'm wearing the sparkling suit.
Oh, well, you look great, I'll tell you what. So that's an amazing letter I just got from John de Dios about the Tucson Botanical Gardens and how the Tucson Botanical Gardens connects people with plants and nature through art, science, history, and culture. So today, I'm fortunate enough to speak with Alan Scott Davis, director of Growing Tradition. Alan, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Frank.
And I'm also here talking with Adam Farrell-Wortman, the director of horticulture and pretty much the star of that movie, a director of horticulture at the Tucson Botanical Gardens. Welcome to Lifestyle Tucson, sir.
Thank you kindly.
Well, I really enjoyed the documentary. I just finished watching it this morning.
Awesome.
It was very, very good. It was really something that captures Tucson. That's
agree.
what, very much. And it's the people. It's the people. It's just not you, Adam, all right? It is absolutely a lot of the fun folks that show up, that you interview, all the people involved at the gardens, because what a great organization you've got. I've actually wanted to have you guys on for some time. I do love talking to our organizations and all the gardens in town because there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to experience, and it's just such a great thing that you don't really get in a lot of other regions of the country like you do get right here in the Southwest.
Very true.
Right? So I really do want to talk a bit first about the Tucson Botanical Gardens. Let's get a little 101 about what it is, and then we're going to dive into the film and talk all about what we saw when you made your amazing movie and what inspired you to do it. So tell me a little bit about the Tucson Botanical Gardens.
Well, we're 5.5 acres right in the middle of the city, Grant and Alvernon. The gardens was really founded by the Tucson community. Before we had the property, the gardens existed as a plant enthusiast entity that people would give tours of their backyards.
Wow.
And then about 50 years ago, next year we're having our 50th anniversary on site. About 50 years ago, the city gave the property to the entity, Tucson Botanical Gardens.
Wow.
And yeah, so we've grown from there. So we're truly a very organically grown local community-based organization.
That's impressive. How long have you been down there at the gardens?
I've been at the gardens for 8 years now.
8 years. And you just got this newer title in the film, is when you kind of took over that newer title. And refresh me what your title is. And now how long have you been doing that role?
So I'm now the director of horticulture at the gardens. And I guess we were filming that in 22.
22, yeah.
So I got it in 22, yeah.
Yeah. So how's it been now for the last couple of years that you've been kind of the big wig, going in charge and doing all that thing, getting a lot of support, I know. How was it also? Well, I'll ask you follow up in a minute. How's it been?
Oh, great. So as the director of horticulture, I'm basically in charge of the plants of the gardens, make sure everything's thriving and very healthy. Yeah, it's been a great time.
And the movie came out. When did the movie actually come out on Amazon Prime?
Last month.
So it came out last month. So now you watched it since then. Now, how have you felt looking back at yourself from like, oh, wow, that was a couple of years ago now. And now here you are. And it's like, oh, wow, look at that. 2 years later already. How's it feel?
I'll never get used to seeing or hearing myself on video. Yeah, it's kind of difficult. Yeah, looking back on it now, it's a great reminder of how much work and into the kind of the unknown we were at that point, because we've done now the light show for the last 2 years. This is the third year of it. And I could give that last interview and you can hear me getting choked up. I was a little emotionally
Oh, I was going to bring that up.
spent.
Yeah.
This year, not so much. It's a little easier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well-
we've done it a couple times.
Right, because you build a template essentially.
Right.
That's what was fascinating about the documentary. And again, the documentary is titled Growing Tradition, and it covers the LightsUp Festival, which is happening right now. LightsUp, a Festival of Illumination, going now through January 12th. You can go to TucsonBotanical.org to go get tickets and get information about it, as well as your webpage is delightful and really fun to navigate. But a real good way to learn all about this is obviously by watching this amazing documentary, which is available for a mere 99 cents, by the way. And I used my Amazon Prime points, so it didn't cost me $1. So you can go watch it right now, anytime on demand, over on Prime Video. It's called Growing Tradition. So let me ask you now, Alan, being able to do this the year that they're starting it, what actually got you aware of it so that let's capture this momentous thing, not a let's capture a thing they've been doing for a long time. It's the first year they're doing this big project, tackling it. A, how did you hear about it? And what made you think of actually, filming all this and adding to that? Because it almost adds an entire another layer to this cake as far as a project. So how did it come about that you were able to film the inaugural version of this, get the word that it was happening, and really get behind this thing?
So our company, Davis Studios Media, we had a relationship with the marketing director at the time, Matt Adamson. Our business, we have done a lot of work with the University of Arizona, and we were trying to branch out into the community. So we kind of had our ears open for like, what could we actually do? And we reached out to Matt, and he was like, well, why don't you come on? We come put some kind of a project together, some kind of collaboration. And he told us about what they were doing at the time. And, my business partner and I, we were sitting there, we were listening, and we said, well, there might be something to this, because we heard about all of the help that they were going to be getting from the community, the vision that it was put into place. And we were like, well, let's set up some cameras and see what we get. And as we started filming in February, and as the interviews continued to pile up, we did 3. We did one with Adam, one with Michelle Conklin, the executive director, and one with Matt Adamson, who was doing marketing at the time. Once we got those interviews out of the way, we were like, this has potential for a longer story. Mm-hmm. As I've said before, my job as a storyteller is to listen and to really kind of feel out what's there, and really started to feel pretty good. Then we were able to go from there. And also, how do you turn that into something that's larger? Well, the first thing that you need in a good story is great characters. And it became very obvious that we had great characters there with our 3 core members, but also the community of Tucson itself. Tucson decided to really come around in this project, and it was very apparent from the beginning. We were filming in April, and there was people there that were just wrapping up giant buckets of lights. Well, there's clearly some momentum behind this, so let's follow it up and keep going.
That's what I was saying a little before we got started here, was that the town is a character, and you have all these folks that volunteer and getting their little snippets and tidbits from them. You can see the charm of these people, and compliments to you as well, because there's a lot of documentaries that come out these days, and a lot of them have a lot of cliches. In fact, there's also one that's going on about Tucson right now called Glitter and Greed. I like your Tucson documentary better.
Thank you.
Because that one, it's got a lot of cliches in it as far as documentaries. Oh, let's get all the people getting their microphones on and we're ready to check things out. Mm-hmm. Here's all this B-roll that I can buy off a website. That's just, what is this? I don't think there's one piece of B-roll in your film that you did not film yourselves.
Nope.
I can tell.
Yeah, no, it's all, and our team, we love visual storytelling. I get very excited about it. And you also have an ownership of that story, right? We just followed what was happening. That was totally enough. It unfolded before us, and I thought it was just so fun just to be able to go there and see people figure things out, because that's human, right? There's a lot of content out there right now. It's all very polished, very written out and everything like that. We did some writing, but a lot of what we did was in the moment.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that kind of storytelling. It comes back to my journalism roots, which is just what is presented before you? What is the story that's there? What is developing? And then do you have the courage to tell that story and to be truthful to what happened?
Mm-hmm. And that's why you're capturing it.
Yeah.
You're capturing that story, because it's absolutely what's unfolding right in front of your eyes with these folks. No one's prodded, no one's poked to be like, why don't you do it this way? No, you're just doing your thing. One of the things was also setting up those giant ornaments, these tree climbers, the professional tree climbers that you got, because you don't think about all the aesthetics, the math that goes into it, using cords so nothing's going to break. What are they made of?
They're iron.
They're iron. They're iron ornaments, so they're very, very heavy, giant stars between each tree. And then as you're watching the documentary, it's like, remember, each tree is different, so each one's going to have a different amount of weight it can support between the distance and the tethering of these wires. So that was a fascinating part of all of this.
Yeah, I believe the highest one up is 85 feet.
Woof, that's insane. And that was really fun to watch. And even to get those people that are professional climbers, like, this is one of the better gigs we've ever done because they're not covered in sawdust. We still get to climb and do all the things that we love to do, but then they're setting up a fun, decorative thing. I also love that you, as a filmmaker, broke it up into the seasons, because that does show you how long you were there capturing all these great stories. And it was great because that told the story too, as it was really unfolding and unraveling, as we did unravel millions of lights and wrap them around all those things. And that was going since spring. That's incredible, because not a lot of folks realize the work that goes into a project, or not a lot of folks realize how hard it is to think of something just a few weeks in advance or a month in advance, let alone let's start preparing for our annual thing. It's going to take us almost the whole year to do it. That's incredible. I'm so glad you were able to capture all the hard work.
Can I throw some numbers at you?
Yes.
So 48 talking segments, stand-up interviews were conducted for this project. We did... it's over 2 months of filming, different days that we went there. It's 131 pages of single-space dialogue that we went through, 570 B-roll shots that we collected to make this documentary. There's a lot of work that went into it. It was 1 year of filming, 1 year of editing, and then 1 year of finding distribution.
That's incredible. And way to get distributed on Amazon, because it was easy to find. Also, this documentary is about 50 minutes. It's nice and digestible to wake up, have a cup of coffee, watch this thing this morning. It was a joyous morning and really nice. 'Tis the season to even watch this documentary and then go experience the LightsUp Festival of Illumination that, let me remind you again, is going on right now till January 12th. Let's even just talk about the festival itself real quick, because I do want to talk about how much you've enjoyed doing it over the past couple of years, aside from now the documentary. How have you enjoyed the experience at the Botanical Gardens of the event itself?
Oh, it's pretty fantastic. So it definitely has attracted people that don't come to the Botanical Gardens regularly. So we have membership, and our membership's been growing, and that's all great. But we're always looking for, how do we get the new person in?
Not only that, how do you get the people driving between Texas and California to give a stop into Tucson? This is a destination, and the documentary talks about that. Trying to get people from out of the city to be like, this is the thing to come see, because it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I personally will show up to Lights Up evenings, take my name tag off, and just, because all that work, you do it to hear those oohs and ahs, to see families together, just making the tighter connections themselves. I just get a lot of enjoyment out of that. I honestly don't get much out of Christmas lights by themselves. Don't do it for me. But having the families around is pretty fantastic. And as the garden, as an entity, Lights Up has become a staple of what makes us being able to be a vibrant part of the community. It really foots the bill for those summers where
things get a little hot.
We don't get a lot of visitation in June.
Yeah.
So the Lights Up event has really been able to offset those slow times.
That's important, because again, your organization is really, it's all of this that really keeps you going, and programs like this and the memberships. So people can go to this event. Tickets start at just $23, $19 for kids. But if you're a member, they're just a couple of bucks less. So maybe you might want to consider joining. And it does go till January 12th. You can go watch Growing Tradition on Amazon for just 99 cents. I'm just giving you all this because we're only halfway through. We got plenty more to talk about and have plenty more to learn about the Tucson Botanical Gardens and about the film that you made. Because now let's talk about all of how the gardens are laid out, but then what that meant to you as a filmmaker, that there's 6 lit up areas. So giant lit up areas. Describe to me the 6 lit up areas and what a person experiences as they go in and start walking through the gardens.
So each of those areas is kind of centered on a theme. So the lights, the color palette is on the theme, and so is the music that you're in. is set to that theme. So we have a Whimsy Way, which is a very upbeat.
Oh, I love all the names, believe me. That's my favorite part of it.
Very upbeat, very much what we would consider like traditional music, little Run Run Rudolph kind of fun Christmas time. And then we have another one, Bedazzled Boulevard is probably our most technologically advanced part of the show, where the lights dance to sort of a mashup of the Nutcracker Suite.
Okay, wow.
So we have some steel trees that spin and dance.
Right. So I was in the movie. It says we have the dancing trees. So that's the dancing trees. That's great.
Trees.
Okay.
And then we'll have there's a star shower spot we were talking about. Those are the ornaments way up in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have an homage to our old holiday show, which were Luminaria nights, and we did those nights for 30 years.
Yeah.
And honestly, some people in the community were a little sad that went away. And so the last part of the show is an homage to that. So there's luminarias. We have luminarias hanging from the trees, and we have giant luminarias that are like 6 feet tall, and also luminaria bags lining the sidewalks. So it's a nod, but to what we used to do, but it's still more grand.
Yeah. Out of all the sections, let me ask, what was your favorite as the filmmaker? What was your favorite area to film? I've got the website up, and you can see that tunnel of lights is gorgeous and very visual, and that's what they're using right on the homepage here for probably good reason. What do you think was your favorite thing to capture as far as things concerned? Because I'll give you a great compliment after you answer this, because there was something else about the whole documentary, but go on.
Well, my favorite part to film about the entire documentary was actually when I got to spend a morning with Adam, because he was telling us about just like the importance of green spaces, and then connecting with the community, and why gardens are actually an important part of that, because that's kind of like that's when you get those really, as a storyteller, you get those great moments with your characters, and you get to really know them, and you get to spend the time with them and appreciate who they are and where they are in the story and why they're there and why they're important. And that was my absolute favorite part. It opens the fall section and leads into the final event. It's kind of like that last breath before you get into the climax of the story.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because we were building, and then we got that quiet moment in the garden where we got to really focus on what this is about. Not just lights, but this is about community, and this is about outreach, and this is about really connecting people to the earth.
Yeah. So now let me compliment you on getting emotional there at the end, and then I'm going to give you a compliment about the film. But I like that you got really emotional at the end, because guess what? I'm an emotional guy, and I talk to a lot of organizations here all the time, and it's important, especially just as men, you're allowed to cry when you care about stuff.
I definitely agree with that.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's important, because I do that when I teach kids, and sometimes it really does help to show how much you do care, how much you really care, because you can't fake that. You're not faking tears.
Right.
And to see how moved you are by that, you can feel it through the television screen. That's the point.
You, yes.
And that part, loved it. Way to be vulnerable on a movie. It's difficult to do. So way to be vulnerable and show how much you care about your career. Your career, look what you get to do. And you were so appreciative of that. And that's another thing to do, because, to be able to do what you're doing is specializing in horticulture. So I'm really glad that you're getting the recognition for your passion and for your career choice and for everything that you're pursuing, because again, without you, this might not have happened. And that's an important thing to realize as well.
Yeah, the big part of that career and what I consider my career, I don't actually consider my career in horticulture.
Okay.
I guess more specifically public horticulture.
Nice.
So my whole career has been spent improving the commons,
Yeah.
if you will.
Okay. Wow.
So that's the dedication. That's how I'm dedicated, and that's where all the feels come in.
Yeah.
Because if it was just about plants,
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be so feely.
Yeah. Right.
But it's about making the world a better place, not just in the space I'm in, but in the space that I share with everyone else.
Yeah, heck yeah. And remember, you can't be too feely with the plants in the Southwest. They feel back and they hurt. Yeah. A lot of them are out to get us. Let me give you that compliment I've been dangling. The drone shots. Well done.
Thank you.
Those were gorgeous.
Yeah.
And those were all original as well. I could tell.
Absolutely.
Like just dipping through the cities and the transition and then also just some of the like seeing the festival light up, 6 zones, then watching them all light up. It's like, there it is. Look at that. Magic. Compliments.
And I'll say
Thank you very
to
much.
that, like you were saying earlier, drone shots can be run-of-the-mill or
Yeah.
very easily look like someone else's B footage.
Yep.
And no, those shots were fantastic.
Yeah, pure.
The ones where they're in the trees, when you were in the tree, some of those aren't drone shots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We,
How
we
high
sent
did you
them
climb
up
a
into
tree?
the tree.
all the way up there, pal.
Are you afraid of heights?
No, not really. Yeah.
I would not. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of my favorite things about filmmaking is you kind of get to go into like these weird spots and they're
Yeah.
like, hey, you want to like go up into this tree? I was like, absolutely. We're going to get these shots. We were able to get the drone in there, and shout out. I took some of the drone shots, but those shots that you talked about, they were specifically our drone pilot Chabre, and he's an amazing young filmmaker as well, and I love working with him. But yeah, getting up in those trees, man, that's all part of the gig to me. That's all fun. And the some of the pictures that I got from that, where I'm like leaning over, I'm like, yeah, that I'm alive there. I'm
There you
alive
go.
there.
Yeah.
You
Say
gotta
it.
you gotta be in the moment, right? With these people. You know, our job as filmmakers and as storytellers is to be there and to witness and everything like that. So, and I also like the thrill. So we're gonna go
that's
for it, right?
Adventurous way to be. It's fantastic. I love that sort of thing because that's not even it's reporting. Like that's what you're doing. It's way to get up in there and get that unique perspective. Because
Absolutely.
this documentary has a ton of unique perspective.
Yeah, and as a visuals person, I will do whatever I can to get those really, really cool shots to give that different perspective because I have fun doing it. It's great.
Real quick, as we are, time flies. I do want to talk about some of the other things at the gardens because I was going through the website, and again, go to TucsonBotanical.org. You can get all the details, but there's a lot of stuff happening when it comes to classes, exhibits, education, and you can join your membership, but also donate. Figure out how you can donate your time, but if you can't donate your time, donate some money, and that works both ways. You can't donate some money, try donating some time, because it looks like a really fun place to get involved, and there's a lot of opportunities to get involved, not just Rapping Lights, but doing lots of fun different things for all of their programs, and it's just a nice place to visit. I want to go check out, where did I just see the thing that I want to see? That's right. It's called the Great Garden Express. All aboard.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
a tiny train.
Yeah,
Tell me about
that's-
your tiny trains.
Tiny Train's actually pretty big.
Yeah?
We just opened it this year.
Okay.
In May. It is 6 individual tracks. 2 of them go over your head.
Yeah.
Crossing the paths. Right now, we've got, you can't have a train without like the buildings that go with the train set, right?
Yeah.
And so right now we have Missions of the Southwest and national monuments in our national parks. So
Yeah.
monuments from the national parks, they're all made with natural materials. It's actually the same company that puts up the New York Botanical Gardens holiday train display and
Really? Wow.
the National Botanical Gardens holiday display
Wow.
show. This is their first installation west of the Mississippi, actually.
No kidding. I just like things like that.
And
Bigatures.
this year, the train, the buildings were decorated by the Tucson Modelers Association, I believe.
Really?
Let me double check that.
Double check that, but that's incredible, and I got to join them. That sounds super fun.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. We have a mini time machine museum in Tucson. We love teeny tiny things. It's the best.
This year, the Sonoran Desert Model Builders came in and decorated the model buildings for the holiday show. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
I love it. Again, you said things were happening on Whimsy Way. That's whimsical right there. So as we wrap up, I do just got to ask, what's next as far as filmmaking for you, sir? What is your next film?
So I'll thank you for asking that. So it actually connects to the growing tradition. All the money that's going to be given to us from Growing Tradition is actually going into our next project, our next documentary, which is going to be on desert ecology. And that's actually the first project of our new nonprofit, which is called the Odd Foundation. We're going to be focused on educating K through 12 people, just Arizona individuals in general, about ecology. And that all stems from a really, really close friend of mine, Cecil Schwalbe. He was the first Arizona herpetologist. He passed away a couple of years ago, and he had a real mission about connecting people with their ecology and reminding them that they are part of ecology. And that's what's next.
And I interview nonprofits exclusively. So when the Odd Foundation is up and ready, doing more stuff, and you're ready to do that thing, come on back to Lifestyle Tucson, and we're going to talk all about that. And again, way to keep his memory alive and keep his mission alive.
I love him.
By doing that. Well, that's awesome. What a good dude. Okay, you're a couple of good dudes. We've got a lot of great folks here inside the studio for Lifestyle Tucson, because today we made friends with Alan Scott Davis, Director of Growing Tradition, as well as Adam Farrell Wortman, the Director of Horticulture at the Tucson Botanical Gardens, your urban oasis in the heart of Tucson. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Frank, it's been a pleasure.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. What a great conversation with a couple of good dudes right here in Tucson. We're lucky to have them. Director of Growing Tradition, available on Amazon Prime, and it is a documentary all about everything that they do at the Tucson Botanical Gardens, LightsUp, a Festival of Illumination. So that's fantastic. I really, really enjoyed talking to them. Alan Scott Davis is your director of the movie, and then we also have our director, Adam Farrell Wortman, Director of Horticulture at Tucson Botanical Gardens. So you can see I was getting a little tongue-tied there with the names and the titles, all these directors, and I'm the Director of Public Affairs. So you had three directors sitting in a room together talking about making Tucson a better place and a more fun place for arts, for our plants, for our native plants, and for our kids and families. It's really nice to have all these great events that happen in the Old Pueblo. It's an eventful city. So many of them. We have so many gardens. So you have a lot of opportunities to do all these great things. And I really want you to go check out everything happening at the Tucson Botanical Gardens. Just go to tucsonbotanical.org. Let me make sure that's correct. Yes, it is. And you can follow them over on Instagram. But also, go ahead and make sure that you watch Growing Tradition, available on Amazon Prime. Like I said, it is 99 cents. It is only 50-something minutes. You've got the time. It's a good way to start your day. It's a good way to end your day. It's a great documentary about all these nice people in Tucson putting something together. And I say it all the time. It's practically a catchphrase. My favorite thing, whether it's in real life or a movie or a documentary, is when a ragtag group of kids get together and put on a show. So go find out all the details by watching Growing Tradition on Amazon Prime right now, and visit LightsUp, a Festival of Illumination happening at the Tucson Botanical Gardens now through January 12th. So I want to thank our new friends at the Tucson Botanical Gardens and Davis Dios Media for joining me today, makers of the film Growing Tradition. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are glowing. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers, and toot toot Tucson, I love you the most.